Well, howdy.
Good
Where are
morning.
all my friends?
Right here.
I know, apparently you're it. You're the only one I got. Normally there's like
Yay!
30 people on this call. So either they didn't want to wait for me 5 minutes or they got other stuff to do today. I'm not really sure. But you'll just get one-on-one attention, I guess, if no one shows up.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you rather utilize this time to do stuff that you really need to do? It's all good for me.
No, it's fine. Like even if you're the only one, I would still do it. It's fine. I promise. But I appreciate that. Um,
I'm
because
just saying.
what happens is people will show up and say, "Well, can I get the recording?" And if I didn't do it, then there's no recording. So it just becomes
Yeah.
a bigger problem for me to not do it. But thank you. Um,
Okay. All
but,
right.
but don't worry, there might be some more people that will hop on here. So,
I'm not
um, but it's
worried.
okay. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Doing well. The
Good.
it's going live, listings going live today. Secure contract from yesterday. Um, for the other house, everything's going well. Yeah.
Good. Good. Super proud of you.
Now I need to find some more listings.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to talk about, right?
Yay.
Um, okay, so I got some great. I was like really excited when I wrote this and put this together because I was like, wow, where was this advice when I was in real estate?
Mhm.
I mean, obviously I'm still in real estate, but where was this when I was just getting started, where I was learning how to leverage myself and how to leverage? So first things first, I want to tell you, don't read ahead on me, like read the whole thing ahead on me. But there's a link to this document in the chat room if you want. But one of the things I'll say is that in the last 5 years, we lost the ability to leverage our listings to get more business, right? Because everything went under contract so fast. It went under contract when it was incoming soon. It went under contract within like 5 days. And so we lost the ability to market our listings, so that we could pick up more buyers and more sellers. Like, in a normal market where things sit on the market 30, 60, 90 days, or where the average time on the market is 45 days, you've got 45 days that you get to leverage that listing, meaning you get to promote it in other ways. You can, utilize that time to send out postcards, to do all kinds of things. And in the
Mhm.
last 5 years, things have flipped off the market so fast that you didn't have time to do any of that because you were on to the next sale already before you even got to leverage it. But what it meant is that you weren't filling your pipeline or getting more buyers or more sellers from your listings. And each listing should produce two more sales if done correctly. So what was happening was most agents now have a dry pipeline because once the transaction was over, they'd move on to the next one and they're not filling the pipeline with new business, right? And
Right.
so the good thing about houses being on the market a little bit longer is that you do have more time to leverage them. You have more time to promote them, to market them, to host events there, to send out mailings, and the house still be on the market. So that's definitely not a bad problem to have. I'm making sure everybody's in the right link. It's very weird that nobody's there. Hold on one second. Yeah. Here come the text messages. How do I get in? So forgive me. Please hold 1 second.
Hmm.
All right. Well, Bryson's trying to get it. He'll join in. So obviously being on the market is more time to be able to do activities that would help us generate leads to increase buyers and sellers. So first of all, the easiest thing to do when you get a listing, and here's one of the things I want to point out, um, is that it does not matter if it's your listing or not. So for a brand new agent, and I'm really saying this for the recording purpose, for a brand new agent, if you don't have a listing right now, there are still tons of things you can do as if it's your listing. It doesn't matter who the listing belongs to. So don't let the fact that it's not your listing hold you up or be a roadblock for you because that does not matter. Okay. So if you don't have a listing, you can find a listing within your company. Some companies will allow you to promote listings from other brokerages, but you will always need the listing listing agents permission to market and promote any listing that's not yours. But all the things that I'm teaching today and telling you to do, you can all do whether it's your listing or not. So don't let that hinder you. Okay. The first thing is circle prospecting is basically, taking a single listing and promoting the listing all the way around it, everywhere around it. Hi, Bryson. And so you can do that in multiple ways. Hey, good morning. I was just going to go back just for your benefit too. Don't let the fact that you don't have a listing, it doesn't have to be your listing to do all the things that I'm about to talk about. So that's one thing that I want you to know. If it doesn't have to be your own listing, it could be a listing anywhere in your company. It could be another agent from another firm if your company allows that. Which Epic will allow you to do that. EXP did not. So just be aware that it does not have to be your own listing to promote. And I'm actually going to teach you how to use the hot list to do some of the things that I'm talking about. But I just want to make sure you heard me say that since you jumped on here. Sure. All right. Okay, so circle prospecting means that you're taking the listing that you have or the one that you're borrowing to market, and you're either going to promote all the way around that listing in a radius. So you can choose the radius that you want to do, 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever that is. But you basically want to let everyone around that listing know that this listing is for sale, or that it went under contract, or that it's sold. You can do circle prospecting at all three of those stages, but it may mean that you put door hangers on the neighbor's yard, on the neighbor's doors. You might, mail them flyers. I've just listed this, or this is coming soon. You might do postcards. You might do pop buys for the neighborhood or certain streets around that listing. You don't have to do, I think most agents think they have to do the whole neighborhood, and you don't have to do the whole neighborhood. You can just select which streets you want to promote around that neighborhood if you want to. But circle prospecting is what most people do when they get a listing. I'm going to dive a little deeper and give you some other suggestions as well. The Smiths are moving basically means you could promote the fact that the sellers are moving out of the house. So I want you to think about if there is a seller that's lived in a neighborhood for 25 years, they're probably a staple in that neighborhood or that community. And maybe people are going to be really sad that they're moving. So you can always do the Smiths are moving campaign. That could be on your postcard, it could be on your letters or your flyers that just says, hey, the Smiths are moving, they're downsizing, or their first grandbaby was born in Texas and they're moving to Texas. Join me in saying goodbye to them, or join me in helping us choose a great neighbor, or something like that. So utilizing the story, don't just worry about selling the house. Tell the story of the people that live there. Focus on the lifestyle. The Smiths are moving. You could host a networking event at your listing. So this is obviously if you have a listing that's staged, or a listing that your people are still living in that's in great condition and they don't mind, you'd always host a networking event, which just invites small business owners or employees. You're just getting more eyeballs on the house, and you're creating an event at the actual listing. You could host a lifestyle photo shoot. So while your house is still active and on the market, your listing, talk with your seller and see if they would allow you to host a lifestyle photo shoot. Have a photographer come set up in the house, and you can, thanks, honey. You can post a photo shoot for local agents in your area, or your office, or your team, or something like that. But again, you're getting people. I want you to think about what hosting a photo shoot for agents does. It almost acts like a mini broker open house, where you're getting realtors to come through the door and you're exposing that property to those agents. I always encourage you to promote neighborhood features anytime you have a listing. So focus on, where's the community pool? Are there walking trails? Is there a basketball court? Does the neighborhood have like a gazebo or an outdoor kitchen you can use, or fire pits, or, what is it like to live in that neighborhood? I think too many of us, I was just talking with John about this earlier in the week, too many of us focus on just promoting the house. Well, the house is a house, it sticks and bricks. What people really want to know is, what is it like to live there? What is it like to live in that community? What is it like to live in that town? What do I have access to? Where's the closest grocery store? What's nearby? Is it across the street from a church? Is it near a playground? Like, there's lots of information that people need to know. And I would tell you to promote the features of the neighborhood, focus and lean in on lifestyle of living in that neighborhood and not necessarily just the house. Okay. You should be running sponsored ads for that listing. You want to leverage that listing as long as you can while it's still getting eyeballs on it. So you should be running sponsored ads, promoting that listing. You should post the listing in local Facebook groups. Those are going to be your buy, sell, trade pages. They're going to be your like hip pages. So if you have like a hip Nolansville or a hip Madison or whatever that is, you want to post your listing in there as well. You definitely want to post the listing on Facebook Marketplace. And then don't forget about old school methods like, posting the flyer for the house in a local business window or on a local bulletin board. Your Starbucks, your Panera Bread, and some of your mom and pop shops, coffee shops, still have local community bulletin boards. Like my local favorite watering hole has a bulletin board that people can post flyers and things like that on. So don't be afraid to post it there. Same thing with your vet's offices. Some of those have bulletin boards, but you want to think about where there are local bulletin boards that I could post a flyer for my listing and put it on there. Or I could get a little card made and put that on the bulletin board. But don't forget about using local little bulletin boards. You can host a progressive open house, which is basically if you have several listings in a neighborhood, or if you want to team up with other agents that have open listings in a neighborhood, you want to have what's called a progressive open house, which means you start at one house and you go from house to house to house. And maybe in each house, there's either a prize, or there's different foods, or there's different things. That you would get at each house. But I've done progressive open houses in the past. We did big ones in a golf community where we just had all the golf carts to take people from house to house. But basically when you promote a progressive open house, everybody meets at the first house at a particular time. And then you have a schedule of which addresses are at the next time so that people can jump in and out anytime they want to. But you can always team up with other agents to do a progressive open house. All right, my biggest tip for you is being a storyteller. And so if either of you or anybody saw my post yesterday, I had a closing yesterday that I told the story of my friend Josh that I've been friends with for years, how I've been at this house. I told stories about hanging out at this house, like having bonfires, eating meals, hugging necks of the people that live there. And I talked about Josh's goals of turning this investment property and cashing out of his rental, and how I was able to help him and how grateful I was. So that post had so much more engagement than me just posting the picture of the house that says just sold. That doesn't really mean anything to anybody. It doesn't tell a story about what your role was. It doesn't tell a story about what the seller's goals were and how you helped them achieve them. It doesn't tell a story about any obstacles that you overcame. There's no story in just posting the picture of a house that says just sold. Okay. So I want you to get very good at telling stories along the way. So some of the things I want you to think about when you get a new listing, are you telling the story to your audience about the things that you're doing to prep a house to get it ready for the market? Are you showing that, hey, we're having mulch put out today. Hey, we're having the house painted today. We're having the carpets cleaned. All the things that you're doing to prep this house for sale. When you put content like that out that shows people how you prep the house for sale, not only are you showing them what you're willing to do to help a seller come to market, but you're also educating other sellers of the necessity to prep their house before they put it on the market, right? Bryson, I'm going to turn your camera off, baby, because you're walking through the halls and it's distracting. I love you. Sorry. But thank you.
Okay.
But thank you for being here to listen to me. I just can't watch you walk down the hallways. It like makes my eyes bounce. But thanks for being here. So I want to are you showing people and educating other sellers what they need to do to prep a house to go on the market and what you're willing to do, right? And so again, take some B-roll, take some pictures, take some footage of you prepping the house and what kind of things you're going to do to get it ready to go on the market. John did a great coming soon video yesterday for his listing in Nolensville. Again, you want to stand out in front of the property. You want to create buzz about it. You don't want to give out all the information. The goal is to say, hey, I have something coming soon in this particular neighborhood or this particular area. And you want to give just a little nugget to pique people's interest, to get them curious. But that's another way to promote the listing and to create some energy around the listing that's coming on the market. On market promotion on various features. So instead of just reposting the picture of the front of the house over and over and over again, I want you to remind you, we're talking about a plan of how you're marketing your listing over 45 days or 90 days, right? Not 5 days, right? Because remember, the houses aren't selling in 5 days anymore. They're taking longer. They're sitting on the market longer. So you have to be more creative about how you promote the listing. You cannot just keep posting the front of the house to promote the listing. You have to go inside and maybe highlight the fireplace, maybe highlight the kitchen, maybe you highlight the primary suite, maybe you highlight the screened in porch or some feature that you know is going to be more interesting to grab people's attention than just the picture of the front of the house. So I want you to think about, how can I highlight various features of this house or features of this neighborhood? How could I dole that out over 3 or 4 weeks so that I'm not just showing the picture of the front of the house week after week after week after week? Because that is old and it makes it look stale and it doesn't get any more interest, right? So think about, how can I promote various features of this house or this neighborhood over multiple weeks and over a long period of time. Under contract promotion. So here's where I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if it's your listing or not. I can go on the hot sheet in the MLS and I can pull up every house that has gone under contract in the last 48 hours, right? It doesn't have to be my listing. I could then promote that listing and say, this one's gone and they had multiple offers, or they had 22 showings in the first 2 days. Obviously, there's buyers out in the market. Are you also looking to sell? Or, this house went so quickly, there's more buyers that want to get in this neighborhood. Is this something you might be interested in also, selling your house? Or we've got buyers that need a house. Are you thinking of selling? So you can promote a house that went under contract as not your listing. So if I look in the hot sheet and I look in a very popular neighborhood, I can always look and see, when something went under contract, and then I can promote that change of status to say, hey, things are moving. If you've heard that the market is slow, or if you've heard that the interest rates are high, if you've heard blah, 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 I'm here to tell you that people are still out buying and selling houses in Middle Tennessee or in Nashville or Nolensville or wherever. This house went under contract in 2 days. That's a story I'm telling. It doesn't have to be my listing, right? Leverage other people's activity to tell a story. Part of what I want you to understand too is you have a responsibility to instill confidence in buyers or sellers. The only way they're going to feel confident and not scared to enter the market is to show them that people are still buying, people are still selling, right? And the way you do that is to show them that, hey, last week in Nolensville, 7 houses closed, or 14 or 20 or whatever that looks like, to show people that the market is still strong. People are still buying and selling, because all they're hearing on the news is doom and gloom and the recession and rising interest rates and the lawsuits and all kinds of. Buyers and sellers don't give a crap about any of, they care about the interest rate, but they need to know that it's okay to enter the market. They need to know that it's okay if I have to sell my house, I'm not going to take a beating, right? You have to tell positive stories so that people feel confident entering the market. And too many agents join in on the doom and gloom, and all that's doing is cutting yourself off. All that's doing is making people question, is now a good time for me to buy? They need to hear it straight from you that people are still buying. The interest rates might be higher than they've been in the last 5 years, but they're still pretty reasonable. I had a mortgage that was double digits at one point in my life, right? So, you've got to change the perception, but you have a responsibility to be like, to instill confidence in people, to let them know that it's okay to buy and sell a house right now. And one of the ways you can do that is by promoting the fact that sharing data that shows people that people are still out buying and selling, right? Yeah, Bryson, one of my mortgages was 14%. So double digits for sure. And people are complaining about 7, 8s, 9s, and people paid 17 or 18% interest all the time, right? So I just need you to know that we have a responsibility to talk positively about the market. We have a responsibility to make sure that buyers and sellers know that houses around us are still selling. And that is very easy for you to do. It doesn't have to be your sale to promote it, right? You can look on the hot sheet and see how many houses went under contract or how many closed, and then use that data to talk to buyers and sellers so that they know what's happening. Don't let them listen to the news or get all their information from the news or talking to their friends and think that nobody's buying or selling right now. That's not true. They are buying and selling. They should be buying and selling from you, right? So I want you to pay attention to the hot sheet. So one of the questions I get asked too is um, Melanie, I'm going to drop this link again because I know sometimes when you jump on a call late, you don't have access to the previous chat. So I want to make sure you had that so you can get this form. Thanks for joining us. People ask me, okay, well, when it goes under contract, should I go put an under contract rider on the sign or not? I have always been a fan of no. Don't swap out that rider and don't go put under contract on it because you're basically cutting off your opportunity to get sign calls. You're cutting off the opportunity for people to want to call you. The minute you put under contract on there, you're telling people that it's already taken. So why would they call you? Right? Some people have a chain of thought that, well, I want to show people that I got it under contract right away. Well, they're going to see that. They're going to look it up on Zillow, right? They're going to look it up on Redfin or whatever portal they're searching on. But I want people driving down the street and see my sign and go, oh, I'm going to call and find out more information, right? So I don't want to cut off my lead route by putting an under contract rider on it. So I don't like that. What I have done before, though, is I put another sign in the yard, kind of like a corrugated plastic sign that says it has a QR code on it. And what happens is I create a landing page that says, has all the detail information about the listing, but it says, oh, unfortunately, this one is under contract. It's gone. But I have others, right? And so when they scan that QR code or if you're sending them to a website, you're basically going to say, this one is under contract, but let me send you some listings that are similar to it. So you can go ahead and create a landing page that has similar listings to your listing that drags people to look at those listings from your IDX page on your website. If you're not sure how to do all that, reach out to me later, but I'm telling you that you have the ability. Don't put a under contract sign. I don't like that, but do what you want. But I don't prefer to put under contract writer because I want people to reach out to me. I also want to drag anybody that's looking at my sign. I want to drag them to my website. I want to drag them to a page that has other listings so that I can help them find any house in Middle Tennessee, not just the one I have listed, right? That's how you leverage the existing listing that you have to pick up other buyers. F says invite the neighbors once it's under contract. So a lot of agents will do a nosy neighbor preview, like 1 hour before the open house or after the open house or something like that. I like to do it once the house is under, like right when it goes under contract. Oh, invite the neighbors and say, well, you missed it, but I know you were dying to see the inside of this house. Come on and take a look. And my seller said that you can come by on Sunday between 1 and 3, 1 and 2 for you to come and check it out. Neighbors are nosy. They want to know what the interior of their house looks like. They want to know what the floor plan, how it's different than theirs. What did they upgrade? What did we do? How is it different? So neighbors always want to come, but maybe you don't want them coming to your open house, or maybe you don't want them wasting your time at the open house, but invite them at a different time. Invite them at a time where it's not going to conflict with potential buyers because these nosy neighbors are not looking to buy. They just want to see, right? G says navigating the inspection. So obviously it's my listing, or maybe it's not my listing, and I see that it went under contract and it's pending a home inspection. This works better if it's your listing, obviously, but talk about some of the things that came up on the home inspection, or talk about things that are very common to come up on a home inspection. If you're new in the business and you don't know what that is, reach out to me. I'll tell you. This is the same 7 things on every home inspection I've ever had for 25 years. I promise you. There's the anti-tip bracket missing from the stove because it was in the box and they just threw the box away. The TPR valve on the water heater is usually not long enough or doesn't work. You've usually got some reverse polarity in some of your outlets, which you can easily check with a little meter you can get at Lowe's for $5. The gutters are usually backed up and need to be cleaned out, which also causes some water intrusion. The downspouts on the gutters need to have extenders on them to pull the water away from the foundation of the house. And then you probably are going to have some plumbing leaks or loose fixtures, whether it's the hose bib, the shower, the faucets, whatever those are. Those are simple things that a seller can go through and fix ahead of the time before they ever put their house on the market. You don't have to wait for a home inspector to come find those things, right? Maybe their HVAC needs to be serviced and cleaned. There's simple things that you could go through. You can even call your local home inspector, your favorite one, and ask them, can you give me a list of the most common 10 things that come up on most of your inspections? Use that as content to promote the other seller. Hey, if you're prepping your house to get it ready on the market, you might not want to do a pre-inspection, but how about if we take care of the 10 most common items? And here's what they are, right? But specifically, you can use your listing and what happened at your listing to tell the story. We had a home inspection today. Here's what couple of things that came up on the inspection. Here's how I'm going to help fix them. What I'm trying to teach you is that a lot of the things that come up on the home inspection are very common. And what we want to let sellers know is that most everything that comes up on this inspection is repairable. It's fixable. And most of it is actually not as expensive as you think it is to repair it or fix it. We want to go ahead and take care of it on the front end so that we don't get beat up by the buyers. They don't negotiate more on the price. They don't try to beat us up or terminate. We don't want to terminate either, because remember, terminating during inspection costs your seller precious marketing time that we don't want to lose, right? So you can navigate the inspection and talk about the things that come up on it. H says nearby business features. So are there local restaurants nearby or local businesses that support the homeowners who live in that community? Are there local businesses that homeowners would want to use, like Mosquito Joe or a specific landscaping company that everybody hires? Or are there like a local dentist office or childcare center? Or, again, featuring and leaning into what it's like to live there, the lifestyle that buying that house would entail. Where do you shop? Hey, let me take you to the local, for example, if I had a listing in McKay's Mill in Franklin, Tennessee, I would highlight that neighborhood has a Publix. It has a nail salon. It has a Chinese restaurant. It has a dry cleaner. It has a vet. It has a wine shop. It has a florist. It has, a insurance person. I would literally go to that shopping center and showcase all the local businesses that are within walking distance to most of the homes in McKay's Mill, right? So you want to feature what is around it. You may even negotiate with some of these smaller businesses promos or discounts for your future clients, right? Hey, I'm a local realtor. I have listings in the neighborhood and I want to feature your business when I promote this listing. Are there any incentives you might be able to offer me that I could pass on to any potential buyers, right? I put together a whole like value bundle from local businesses that had like over $7,000 worth of savings from various promos that all the business owners gave me just by asking. They're trying to earn new business. So can you feature any nearby businesses that would help you leverage that listing? How do you prep for an appraisal? Do you think that most sellers understand the appraisal process? No, because most of them have only had one appraisal and that's when they bought the house. But remember, most sellers have not sold a house before. Most sellers, this is their first time. So they don't know what to expect, right? They don't know what to do. So I'm just asking you, how do you prep for an appraisal? What kind of information do you give the appraiser, right? If you haven't learned that yet, reach back out to me and I will teach you. But how do you prep for that appraisal visit? What kind of information do you give the appraiser? How does that help your seller? And why is this something other people should want to know about? They want to know because you're being proactive to make sure that we're not just waiting for the appraiser to tell us what the house is worth. We are guiding that appraiser, giving them comps that we use when we price the property, highlighting some of the features and upgrades that the house has so that they don't have to work as hard when they're doing their comparables, right? They have all this information. We're helping them arrive at the price that we want them to arrive at. What you don't want is to be reactive, and you priced it at a certain point, you put it on the market, you went under contract, you negotiated the home inspection, and now we're at the appraisal stage, and you are basically rolling the dice. You don't know what the appraisal is going to come back with. And I don't like leaving things up to chance. I like taking control over things that I can control. Okay. So, how can you prep for the appraisal? The day is farewell to the Smiths. If it's your listing, maybe you host a farewell party for all their friends and neighbors at their home. Remember, I want access to my clients' friends and family. So hosting a farewell party is a great way for you to get in front of potential clients that are friends and family or neighbors of your existing seller. So I always think of like some of my clients. I've always sold a lot of houses to former students' parents. So again, I was really close to my students, and then by then I became close to their parents. And of course, I've made sure that all of their parents knew that I was in real estate. And so I had one couple that had lived in the same neighborhood for 30 years, right? They were original buyers in the neighborhood when the neighborhood was built. And so when they moved, the entire neighborhood was devastated because that's where everybody hosted the rib cook-offs. That's where people went to watch the Super Bowl. That's where people went on Halloween to hang out in their garage. They were a staple in that neighborhood. So I want you to think about, if you are representing the seller and this neighbor has such an impact on the neighborhood, of course you want to host a going away party for them. Their neighbors want to love on them. Their neighbors want to say goodbye to them, right? And you want to be the person that's in the center of that has access to the guest list, that has access to the people at the party, right? I'm so sorry to see them go, right? But I'm happy about where they're headed. Their grandbaby was just born in Texas, whatever that is. But a farewell party or host a moving party for your seller goes a long way. Kay says, sold, tell how you met the client, any goals that they had or challenges you faced, and how you helped. That's exactly what my story was yesterday, or my post yesterday about my listing that closed. I told how I knew the person, or that they were my friend, or how I met. Any goals that they had. Did they want to turn a investment property cash out? Did they want to buy an investment property? Were they trying to relocate to another state? And how you helped solve that problem, or how you helped them reach that goal. Okay. You want them to see, remember, right now, we are hyper focused on inserting our value to people. We're trying to demonstrate to the public that we're worth what they pay us. The way that you do that is to let them behind the curtain. Let them see your activities. Let them see what you're doing. Let them see the kinds of things that you're doing to help clients, to help change the perspective that people have about our role and our value in this transaction. You must demonstrate to them what we do. They don't know behind the scenes all the things we do. They have no idea that when I take a listing, I've got 287 different things I've got to do to get that house sold, right? They only see maybe 4 of them. It's my job to educate them about what all I do behind the scenes. So tell the story about how you helped your client, what kind of goals they had or challenges you faced, and how you helped solve them, or how you had a solution in place for whatever problem came up. You want to demonstrate to people that you're a problem solver. You want to demonstrate to people that you have solutions in place for whatever is going to come up. You're prepared, right? This isn't something you just started doing yesterday. Even if, Bryson, it's something you started doing a year ago, you don't have to tell people that, right? You want to lead with confidence and lead with the fact that you have solutions in place. You're not reactive to the market, you're proactive, if that makes sense. Okay. And then I says video testimonials in front of their house. So one of my favorite ways to get testimonials from seller clients is to have them sit on their front porch steps and in front of their house and let me record the video about what it was like to work with me. What was this selling process like? Right? Don't just have them write a Google review like that's 3 sentences long. Record a video. Google loves video, by the way. It gets indexed higher than anything else that you put on Google. So if you're thinking about putting things on my Google My Business page, or that's where all your reviews go, consider doing a video testimonial in front of the house instead, or in the kitchen, or wherever. But just do things a little differently. All right. Any questions about the listing side? Comments? Because y'all are quiet this morning. Obviously, I had a lot to talk, but any comments about the listing side?
Like what I heard.
All right. That's a good comment. I like that one. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. All right. Let's talk about buyers real quick because we're going to flip the hat for a second. Number one, you should be claiming all your sales on Zillow. There's a way you can go into Zillow, sign into your account, and claim any past sales that you've had. So if you don't have any yet, don't worry about what I'm saying. But if you have had sales, you always want to claim those on Zillow, because when people are searching on Zillow, they will look up and see which houses you've sold, right? How many houses you've sold. You can only do that if you claim your sales on Zillow. So there's a button in there that will walk you through how to do it. That's something you should be doing. Again, all right, so here's number two. Let's say I'm a brand new agent. I don't have any buyers right now, but I'm trying to pick some up. I go on the hot sheet and I see that John got a buyer under contract in Nolensville in a particular neighborhood, right? I can then actually send postcards or mailers or pop buys or whatever I want to send to the people around the house where John had a buyer. I did it. That just said, hey, 123 Main Street just went under contract, right? It does not have to be my sale. It does not have to be my buyer. If I just noticed that a house went under contract, that is a pending sale in the neighborhood that I am choosing to let the neighbors know about in an attempt to pick up buyers or other sellers, right? So you can promote the activities of other agents if you are smart about how you look for it and how you promote it. Again, I'm going to call John and say, hey, congratulations on getting that house under contract in Nolensville. Do you mind if I just promote the activity? I don't need John's permission to do this on the buy side, just so you know. I can look and see that something went under contract and send postcards to whoever the heck I want to. But in just an extension of goodwill to John and my relationship with him, I want him to know that I'm promoting his activity and I'm proud of him for going under contract, right? I'm just building goodwill with him. Number 2 or 3 says promote neighborhood features during showings. So if I'm out showing properties to buyers, I'm going to take some B-roll footage of the houses that we're showing. I'm going to maybe feature something cool that I saw in the house. Hey, I saw this while I was out showing property today. Do you actually have to have a client with you? No, I can actually go and schedule a preview for any listing that's in the MLS, and I can take B-roll footage as if I'm showing it to a client and say I was out previewing this house today, and here's what I saw. This is a great house. You can promote other people's listings that way very easily to pick up potential buyers, right? Hey, I showed this house at 123 Main Street today, and you guys would not believe the backyard. Come inside, let me show you. Or come on and let me show you the master, the primary suite in this house. I've never seen a tub or a shower this big. I can highlight features in houses that I've seen. It's easy to do when you're already out showing properties, but if you're a brand new agent, it does not have to be your listing. You do not actually have to have a buyer. Scour the listings in the MLS and find some you want to go look at and schedule an appointment as a preview appointment, as if you're previewing it for a client. If you're going to be doing social media posts from it, I would encourage you to tell the listing agent, I don't actually have a client. I just want to go in and promote, preview the property in case I get one that is in this criteria, but I also want to just promote your listing. Would that be okay with you? Right? I just know from experience, I've had people preview my listings and didn't tell me that it was just for social media purposes. And if I have a seller that's living in the house and they have to get out with their dog and their grandma and oxygen and all that, and you're just there to do some social media, that's going to piss me off. So again, just be honest with the agent. Try to find homes that are staged or vacant if you're only doing it for social media purposes and you don't actually have a client. But if you're out showing clients' property, document what you're doing. Take some B-roll footage. Take pictures of things that you're seeing in the market. If I see a house that's not prepped for the market, It's dirty. It's filthy. I'm going to tread a little lightly about how I promote that. I might use it as an educational tool for others, but I might not post pictures or video. I might just say, I showed 5 houses today and 4 of them need the card for my deep cleaner because these sellers didn't know that they needed to prep their house to get it ready for the market, right? This is why who you hire matters. I didn't throw another agent on the bus. I didn't name anybody. I didn't name another company. I just told the story about your house is filthy, right? So talk about what you're seeing in the market, if that helps you. Point out in the field activity. So if I'm putting a sign in the yard for a new listing, if I am dropping off relocation packages, if I am, I'm getting ready to list a house in Nolansville and I want to go, record the neighborhood park that the house butts up to. Those are out in the field activities that I want to promote and use as content and make sure people are seeing the kinds of things that we're doing behind the scenes. Feature your favorite inspector and examples of common findings and solutions. Again, on the buy side, remember our job is to instill confidence in buyers. So if I'm trying to pick up more buyers, I might have my inspector do a little short video about 5 common things that they see and how to ease the buyer's mind that these are very simple fixes, right? Because what you don't want is your buyer to get that 92-page inspection report back and think, oh my God, I've got to terminate this. Most of the 92 pages is information about the house. It's information disclosures about the house that they want you to know as a homeowner. Or there are things you need to monitor and watch. They're just be aware of, not necessarily that it requires fix. But you can feature your favorite home inspector and have them give examples of things that they find and the solutions that they put in place, that ways that you would get that fixed. You want them to know that everything that comes up on that inspection, unless it is foundation or structural, most everything can be repaired, right? I'm not saying it's free, but it can be repaired. All right. Number 6, welcome to the neighborhood. So I used to do this when I was younger. If I sold a house to a buyer, I would then take a blank welcome to the neighborhood card and I would go door to door and get the neighbors to sign it with their phone number or sign it welcoming my client to the neighborhood. So number 1, I'm going around knocking on the doors of the neighbors, letting them know that I just sold a house in their neighborhood. And 2, I'm also introducing myself to all the people in the neighborhood. And I'm welcoming my client to the neighborhood by getting the neighbors to sign this welcome to the neighborhood card. It's just a gesture that goes a long way. Most people they want to welcome people in their neighborhood, but I want you to think about what neighborhoods are like right now. People don't know their neighbors. They don't talk to their neighbors, right? They come home from work, they pull in the driveway. Unless you have kids that are playing with each other, you're not really interacting with your neighbors a lot unless you live in like Wisteria Lane or whatever, wherever you live, the Real Housewives or whatever it is. But people want to be closer to their neighbors, but they don't really know how to make friends as adults. It's hard to make friends as adults. So you can be the catalyst to that. Take a blank welcome to the neighborhood card. I've ordered them on Amazon, the great big, 3-foot cards. And I've walked this thing through the neighborhood and had them sign welcome to the neighborhood or congratulations. And many have put their phone numbers in there. And then the neighbors have made connections from that. John, were you going to say something?
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Isn't it? Brilliant. I come up with one every
That's
now and then.
probably the most non-intrusive, absolute way to get the information. In fact, I would absolutely not just have it sign the card. I would say, hey, for social media purposes, emergency purposes, et cetera, please provide your phone number and email address.
Yeah.
You
Whatever you
know,
feel like you can get from them. I also post on the Nextdoor app. So in my neighborhood, where I have access to the Nextdoor, I will usually say, hey, you guys join me in congratulating or welcoming the Smiths. They just bought a house in Tanglewood and they're going to be your new neighbors. And I might tell a little story. He's a physician at blah, 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 and she's a teacher in the 3rd grade. If my
mhm.
clients are okay with me sharing that information, I put that right on the Nextdoor app, and you wouldn't believe the neighbors that reach out or come down and bring cookies or whatever. The things that we used to do old school for our neighbors happen when you are the catalyst behind those things. People don't want to be jerks to their neighbors. They don't want to keep to themselves. They just don't know how to make friends as adults. I promise you. It's hard.
It's very true.
It's
It's
hard.
very true.
I have also ordered a sign that I can put at the beginning of the neighborhood, at the entrance of the neighborhood, that says, congratulations to the Walkers. They just bought 123 Main Street. So number one, I'm promoting the sale. Number two, it has my name on it. And it's stewarding good neighborhood, like good neighbors, so that everybody who drives into the neighborhood knows that the Walkers just bought 123 Main Street. Right? That sign
Mhm.
cost me $18.
Yeah, that's money well spent.
Yes. Number 7 says use data to promote the market stats. So again, I can go into my MLS, I can pull the list price to sales price ratio in any neighborhood, and I can promote that, right? Hey, houses in Cottonwood in Franklin, Tennessee in the last month sold at 99% of list price. That's a very different message than what they're hearing on the news. It's a very different message than what they're hearing from their friends. But that's the data. That's what the data tells me in Realtor. Every house that came on the market in the last 6 months in Cottonwood in Franklin, Tennessee sold for 99% of list price. And the sellers did not pay more than $5,000 in concessions. All that information is available to you in the MLS. So, for example, when something closes in the MLS, it doesn't have to be your sale. You didn't have to represent the buyer or the seller. But the data in the MLS tells me that this house closed at 99% of list price and the seller paid $2,000 in closing costs. That is a story that you can tell that adds confidence to the buyers and sellers. Hey, the market's not as bad as people are making it out to be. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
It does not have to be your client. Use the tools that you have available to promote your business and promote yourself. You don't have to, it's not saying that you sold 123 Main Street. You just looked up the sale and saw that it closed at 102% of list price and that the seller didn't pay any concessions. Tell that story. You didn't even have to have a hand in it. But what does the perception, when you post that story, what is the perception? You were involved in it, or that you know what's going on in the neighborhood, right? So promote the activities that are happening around you. Be very intentional about looking up stats around you. One of the other things I was going to tell you as a listing broker is that I will always set my sellers up on an auto notify for their neighborhood. That's a step that a lot of sellers don't do because your seller's not looking, in that neighborhood. But what it does is it you don't have to, well, it's going to tell them when their neighbor Jim puts his house on the market and what house, or it's going to show them when something goes pending. It's going to show when
Right.
something closed. So setting your seller up on an auto notify in their own neighborhood allows you to be the source of the data of what's happening in the neighborhood, not the neighbor telling you, right? Or not the client telling you. So
Hmm.
always set your sellers up on an auto notify so that they can be informed about what's happening in the neighborhood. They don't have to go on 5 mile walks around the neighborhood to find out that John 3 streets over put his house. That's coming from you, right?
Also
Um,
shows that you care.
yeah, 100%. Let's see, where am I? Number 8, feature your favorite lender and specific loan type. So again, if I'm trying to leverage a sale from a buyer, one of my lenders saved one of my investors over $17,000 by asking enough questions to choose the right product for them. She saved them $17,000 on their down payment. She was able to put them in a different program that saved them a lot of money. So again, if I'm trying to pick up other buyers, I told the story. Hey, they had been with one lender, their cash to close was X. I connected them with my lender. She asked enough questions about their goals and about what their plans were, and was able to put them in a different product that saved them $17,000 by asking the right question. Highlighting who you worked with matters. Highlighting different loan products that could be used by other people. Is it relative? So, for example, if I sold a house to a nurse and that nurse used some type of medical loan product that's available to her as a nurse, I want all of her nurse friends to know that there's incentives for them, right? I want to lead with the loan type. I want to lead with the loan product and make that relative to other people. Do you know any nurses, cops, first responders, EMTs that I should be letting them know about this loan program? Who do you know that also works in this field? Who do you know that also has the same goals as in being an investor or whatever? Who do you know that I should know that is looking to buy, but maybe has had some trouble? Maybe they don't know these programs exist, right? So leveraging of loan product is a very good way to pick up other buyers and leverage other buyer sales. Number 9, when it's sold, again, same thing. Tell how you met the client, any goals or challenges you faced, and how you helped. If the story is compelling, consider sending a press release to a local news station. So this example is I had a 92-year-old couple that reached out to me to buy a home. And of course, I started asking all kinds of questions. Why are you trying to buy a home at 92 years old? Like, are you sure you want to do this? We can find an apartment. We can find assisted living. No, 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 no. We want to buy a house. We're not renting and we're not ready to retire. Like 92, we're not ready to go to a retirement home. And so we want to buy a home. Can you help us or not? Absolutely. Well, come to find out in working with this couple, their daughter had kicked them out of the house, basically made dinner and said, we're selling the house. You've got to find somewhere else to live. I don't know what kind of human kicks their 92-year-old parent out, but I will tell you that to me, that was a compelling story. They had such an immediate crisis need. Our daughter is kicking us out of the house. We have to find a new place to live. And at 92 years old, what does that look like for us? So the story was so compelling because one, they had a unique need, but two, my team showed up and helped these people unpack their entire house, right? We brought them food to stock their pantry. Like we got gift cards for them to the local grocery store. Like my team stepped up, and then my past clients in my sphere made donations for these people. Like we stepped up and helped them in a way that most people don't do. That's a compelling story. It's an evidence of what kind of agent you are. Absolutely send a press release about that. Tell a story about how you helped people, right? It might be that you had to, you know, pay for a repair because the seller has stage 4 cancer and has no money. It doesn't matter what the story is. What is your hand in? Do you have a story that you can tell that's compelling? And if it's compelling enough, you might want to consider a press release to get more attention on it. Okay. Number 10, ask any participating vendors to promote the recent sale as well. So did you have a painter? Did you have a landscaper come in? Did you have a stager or an organizer? Did you have, a pre-inspection and the inspection company had a sale? What vendors were involved in this transaction? And can you ask them to promote it as well, right? John, have a good day, honey. You can catch the rest of the recording later if you like. It's only 5 more minutes.
Bye
Thanks
bye.
for being here. I appreciate it.
You bet.
What else can you guys do? Like, what else can those vendors do to help you promote their activity and their engagement in the sale as well? Number 11 says video testimonials in front of their new house, just like I do with my sellers. I want the buyers excited on the front steps of their new house or in the kitchen of their new house, telling the story of how we met and what their goals were and what it was like to work with me, because that breeds excitement and people can relate to that. Number 12, keep sold by sign in buyer's yard for 5 to 7 days after the sale. So maybe I represented the buyer, the listing agent came and picked up their sign. I put a sign in my client's yard that says, this home was sold by Laura Dahl. And it has my information on it. And my buyer agrees to let me put that sign in their yard for 5 or 6 days. So my buyer is willing to allow me to advertise that I represented them as the buyer. And then the last one is partner with local businesses to offer discounts or promotions for new residents. And so this is what I was talking about earlier. I've got a new client who just bought a house at 123 Main Street, right around the corner from here. Do you have any kind of promotions or discounts that I could provide to my new buyer, who's your new neighbor, that's going to be, I hope to patronize your business? What kind of incentive can we provide for them? And then you're really the resource or the gift, the person that's connecting them to that gift. Any questions for me about ways that you can leverage an existing sale or a buyer to help you pick up more clients. I gave you a lot of great tips in here that I think are really helpful. I want you to remember it does not have to be your listing. It does not have to be your buyer. There are a lot of things that you can do to promote your business to pick up more clients. But you've got to be creative about how you do it. You've got to be good at telling some stories, and you've got to be really good about making sure that you are a steward for home ownership and that you are encouraging people to get into the market, encouraging people that it's okay to sell your house now or to buy a house because you're telling the story of other people that have done it and you're making it relatable in a compelling way in what your role is in it and what value you brought to the transaction. I hope that this is really helpful to you. If you have any questions along the way, you know how to find me. You can reach out to me anytime at recoachcreate.com. You also can text me or call me at 615-507-0481. You guys go on out and sell something, and let's work on changing the perspective of potential home buyers and home sellers and letting them see why we are worth every penny that they pay us. Have a great day, and thanks for being here.
Bye. This was really good.
Good. Thanks, Bryson. I appreciate you.